because we were actually looking back, and I'll tell you the story of how it happened. And then on the last part, on the bottom of the paper, prospecting, Vulcan 7, Z-Buyer, PEG gave us Access, which is one of our investors that we work with. Sphere of Influence, Buffini. As you can see, Sphere of Influence is going to be big. When I first got into this business, because cold calling and all this sweet stuff, I know we all talk about it, but let's be honest, it's not for everybody. And if it is, you might not have an environment conducive to you being able to succeed in cold calling. For instance, when we joined Century 21, they said cold call. We said how? Well, we just did it, right? And me and my brother egged each other on, and obviously beating our heads against the wall over the years, 6 years in, I can walk into an office right now and it's not unlikely that I could get on my first phone call and set an appointment. That's not an unlikely situation for me. As a matter of fact, now when people get off the phone, oh, I'm sorry, sweetheart, I'm sorry I couldn't help you. And where before, they'd be like, off, And what's the difference? It's just the way I talk, what I learned to say, how I learned to approach the call. But it took me 6 years, to get to this point, all right? So it doesn't happen in a minute, but if you have a good plan, I believe it can. Marketing, Zillow and internet leads. We paid for Zillow before, and then we got rid of it. I'm one of these people, I believe everything works, but you have to work it, I have good friends of mine who make $250,000 as a single agent, and they do it year over year over year. I hung out with her the other day. We're always going out and talking about business. And she doesn't make one cold call. She just lives her life, goes to the doctors, gets a facial, and then all of a sudden deals fall in her lap. For me it doesn't always work like that, because sometimes I hate people. I'm like, get away from me, everyone get away from me. So I'd rather call strangers. I even have a hard time calling my sphere of influence. The other day I was in our office, and I said, today I'm going to face my fear and call my sphere of influence. I have another fear. I absolutely hate calling people in the town that I live in. Isn't that crazy? And I can cold call anybody on God's green earth. But I have those two things that limit me. So what I'm saying is there's a lot of things that will limit you in pursuing of these things. But if you're doing 35 deals a year, and I could be home with my kid, and all of a sudden my brother texted me yesterday, me and Armando get a group text that he's gotten a new, listing at the Ritz-Carlton or something like that. That's nice, But how did we get here? We did a lot of work, and we still do a lot of work, and we break through a lot of barriers, and we still break through a lot of barriers, okay? If anybody, and then just one more thing, what time is it? 12:30. So after this, we're going to get into building the plan for each of you guys. And what happened is we did Zillow, then we canceled it. We pay like $500-600. You close one deal every 6 months, and then you stop because you don't have enough money to pay $300 a month, and the deal you're closing on hasn't quite cleared yet. You know what I mean? So we paid for it, then we stopped. It's inconsistent. You have to be consistent. In this business, people think that, oh, I'll sign up for Zillow for 3 months and that's it. Okay? Well, it doesn't work like that. You have to try things in this business for a year, maybe even 18, 16 months before you see the true return or true potential. When we first got the Vulcan, which is a system you pay $300 a month for, before we went through all the steps. We used to look up MLS numbers, call them, because we didn't always have money to pay for the Vulcan. But we paid for the Vulcan $300 a month. And the first year we sold a few houses and it paid off. And now probably 70% of our business is from Vulcan, and $300 a month is more than pays for itself. So it's the same thing with Zillow. But in any case, we put this stuff, Zillow and Google pay-per-click, on our marketing thing. And all of a sudden, my good friend Ray Torres, who's a marketing guy, he does door-to-door flyers and stuff like that, is breaking into this internet thing, and he says to us, hey, why don't I try to get you guys some leads? And we had this on our 135, and then we were talking about it over dinner, and we're like, can you believe that shit happened? All of a sudden, Ray came to us, and now we're doing internet marketing a little bit, and we didn't, I'm not doing it. That's the thing, I'm not doing it. But it was on this paper and it happened, okay? So, anybody have any questions?
I do have a question. Can you, and you probably don't have time to go full into this, but just a little bit, what's Vulcan and Buffini?
Okay, Vulcan is a dialer. Basically, what it does is pulls expireds, pulls for sale by owners in the areas that you choose, and then it gives you the ability to dial. Meaning, I'll take my phone out of my pocket right now, log into the Vulcan, pull up 100, I can pull up 100. We have the call directory too. Do you know what that is? Okay, so we could pull numbers from the call directory or expires or physicals, whatever the list is. I'll log into the list, call my number, and it rings. And I control the panel from my screen. Take notes, and depends on how the conversation goes. So it's just a dialer. They also have Mojo. Buffini it's a really good system for your past clients. So the Vulcan costs $300 a month, okay? Buffini is a referral maker system that if you can afford it, it's probably one of the best ones out there. And their strategy is you do notes, they send out a beautiful mailing, they have a really, really nice back end website where, so basically you could use them for CRM or you could use them to mail your pieces for you. Which, if I were to be able to go back in my business and do one thing consistently, it would be that. I would never quit that. But it costs $189 or $250, somewhere in that ballpark for that system. And it's only for like 100 mailings, but you could put 2,000 people into your database. So you can look into it. Any other questions? Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, just quickly,
Yes,
so
sir.
the Buffini then, is that similar to, what we have through
E-Edge?
E-Edge or like, we use
I wish
constant,
you didn't ask me that.
yeah, and we use constant contact to do a lot of stuff, so.
All right.
It just seems similar.
Permission to be 100% candid.
Yes.
Okay. I love Keller Williams. I love E-Edge. We tried it. We didn't stick to it because, listen, in all honesty, if it's good, we would use it. If it doesn't work the way I think it should work, I don't give a shit that it's our company or another company. Do you get what I'm saying? So I believe the Buffini thing is better than the E-Edge thing.
What
Okay.
did you like about E-Edge?
I'm not, usually on my team, or when we make decisions, I'm not the guy that goes in and learns the systems.
Okay.
But I have a pretty good judgment of what each system is. I just thought, all right, I'll just say one thing that, because it would be so many variables to talk about. In Buffini, it's geared, like they have monthly mailings, because if you do the system, you gotta do the monthly mailings, right? I should call them and be like, hey, I signed up a bunch of people to you guys today. So if you do it, you have to do the monthly mailings, right? And E-Edge sends out those freaking emails, and I get them. And when I get them, I'm like, fuck these emails, It just doesn't look authentic. It doesn't look like you sent it to me, Frank. It looks like you stamped something and sent it to me automatically. See, Buffini doesn't look like that.
I was gonna say, I kind of was turned off by it as well, and that's why we did constant contact, and I would take some of the information here from E-Edge, such as the market update, and then redo it our own way,
Yeah.
and it just seems so much nicer.
Yeah, when it gets better, I don't mind switching, but it's your business, you see.
Could have changed it, I think.
Yeah, they keep saying that, if they did, they did.
That's true.
I'll find out when there's 1,000 people being successful with it, and at that point, I'll be okay doing it. All right, so I'm gonna show you our numbers, and then we'll go from there. Like I said, last year was the first time we did this 1-3-5, one goal and we go after it. First year, we did one deal. It was a $115,000 deal. It was a buyer, and we had to pay a referral fee to the agent that we worked with, and we worked under a top agent, and she didn't pay us what she said she was gonna pay us, okay? The second year, we did 5 deals. The third year in the business, we did 12. Then the following year, we did 18. in 2014, we did 26 deals. And then now we're at 32. We're probably gonna close the year with 36 or 40 if Ando does what he said, promised me he's gonna do the other day, right? So that's kind of how that goes. Ando, you mind just passing these out for me? Now we're gonna work on everybody's 1 through 5.
Is there like cold calling training stuff? Like, hey, someone to teach you how to cold call, where to get leads and all that stuff? Like where to get the lists and
Say that again?
like, is there a way like to get like a mentor in cold calling?
There is a way, you know. I have people that pay me $200 a month to coach them. There are people that, there are all kinds of coaches that you can hire, cold calling coaches, from Mike Ferry to Bob Leffler to, we had so many different coaches and we never stopped coaching, you know. So coaching works like this. And I hope it answers your question. If you decide that you're gonna take on a coach, first of all, know that that coaching relationship is not forever. And that coach is not gonna bring you to the promised land, right? There's still stuff you have to do, right? Like a gym coach, they don't work out for you, right? They just keep pushing you to do more and more and more, right? So technically you could do what you think you need a coach for without a coach. But every team has a coach, and I like that. I've always had a coach, you know? Anytime I could afford one, I've had one. I've paid $600 a month, I've paid $200 a month, I've paid $100 a month. But you gotta get a coach that can get you to move, you see? Like we went to Bold. She was in the same Bold that I was in, and I didn't go back. My brother did 3 of them, right? But I'm a stubborn man, and that's okay. So what I did was, I went into Bold. The lady was a sweetheart. I'm sure she's an awesome individual. But she's like a North Carolina, Southern Belle, and I'm a guy from Boston, and I need to be pushed, you see? So you gotta get a coach that you're gonna respect, somebody that's gonna be able to push you in your way, you see? Maybe I wouldn't be able to push you or you, but I might be able to push you and you. You know, you just don't know. So just make sure that whoever you decide to pay can push you the right way, you know, because that's important. If you're gonna spend money, you wanna see a
What made your
return.
brother go back 3 times?
What made him go back 3 times? It's an awesome program. It's an awesome program. I just don't stick to things the way that he does, you know? Yeah, because, I mean, I think they're going to do one in Andover, I'm sure. I'm going to do one sooner or later, all the way through, but I just didn't want to do it.
So you didn't finish the first one?
No, this was just the one that was in Middleton.
Oh.
I think they're just finishing it up. And I went in there, and, you know, we had a coach from the Tom Ferry organization, and it was in the beginning of our career, and the lady was a really nice lady, North Carolina, and she was just sweet. She was like, "Hey, sweetheart, did you guys do what you were supposed to?" And I didn't need that. I needed somebody to be like, "Hey, get off your ass, do what you gotta do," you know? So I'm very conscious of the fact that if it's a good coach, then I'll let him coach me. But it has to be somebody that you respect, you know? That's just how it has to be. Because if you don't, in a week or 2 or a month or 2, you're gonna lose all interest, and this person's gonna be trying to pour their heart and soul into you, but you're not doing the work, you know, and that's just how it goes. So just, if you're gonna pick a coach, just pick the right coach. All right, so, let me just, I don't have an extra one of those sheets. What do we got at the top here? That one. You know yours. Can I steal this?
Yeah.
All right, so one goal, right? What is the goal? I want everybody, before you really truly write down what your one goal is, to think about what I said, dream goals versus reality goals. Now you can have a reality goal. Say you're like, realistically, when you ask me year 1, what are you gonna do? I would say to you, I'm gonna do 100 deals. And you could be like, well, you're an idiot. And I'd be like, well, you're an idiot, you know? But I was the idiot, you know? So what you want to do is say, okay, but if you ask me year 1, how many do you think you could do? I would say, maybe I can do 11. I would stretch that 11 by 30 or 40%. That's your goal. So if you say 35, right, and you truly believe you can do it, yeah?
Mhm.
Okay, so make it 50.
Mhm.
Because then you're going to gear a strategy to do 50. And when you fail, a few deals fall apart because of bad days and things like that, you hit your 35. You get what I'm saying? Until you learn how to truly hit your targets, you know? Like if next year we do 75, we know what we have to do, but we hit one bullseye, which was the 35. Hit one bullseye first, then you can just duplicate that process. So go ahead and take a minute and write down your goals. Everybody good? And does everybody feel okay with sharing in this group?
Yeah.
Can I ask you all like questions about what your goals are and stuff? This will be like Vegas, and what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right?
Without the camera.
Without the camera. So, what was the goal you wrote?
I wrote 50.
50?
I wrote 50.
Good job.
Mm-hmm.
You're married, right?
Yes.
Okay, so 50 for both of you.
No, 50 each.
50 each?
Mhm.
Wow, awesome. That's really awesome. My man?
I did 20, but I want 15 over 500,000.
15, 20. So do 25. Do 25. Do something that scares you a little bit, that you say, hey, if I don't get my shit together, I may not hit this goal. Do something that scares you just a little bit, you know? Because if you say 15 and you hit 15, you didn't stretch much, you know?
Well, I just set out the GCI that I want to make. So
Yeah.
it's like,
So just do transactions,
Okay.
Frank?
Okay, well, I did the GCI at 200,000 after expenses, and I put down 30 transactions.
30 transactions, all right, perfect.
But if it's September and I hit 29, I'm not gonna stop, I'm gonna keep going, obviously.
Right. Well, if anything, what our coach tells us is, you know, we set a target, and you're always gonna gauge, and when you all of a sudden see that, hey, we're actually might hit this thing, you know, and then when you're really close to it, you can even adjust it,
Sure.
you know? But that depends on human motivation, how
Right.
you motivate yourself too, you know? And what do you have?
The same, I think that.
50?
For the,
For
the
you,
goal,
for the goal, for the
yeah.
year, 50?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Okay, now, to do 50 or 25 or 30, what is the one thing that you have to do to be able to set 50? Let me rephrase that. What would be the thing, you know, if the 80-20 rule, right? What would be the 20% of things you have to do?
Cold call.
Cold call, okay, that's one.
Well, call in general, not cold call.
Yep, lead generation.
Lead generation.
Right, lead
Yeah,
generation.
what else?
Um,
There's other things, that, you know, lead generation is a big umbrella, but there's a million things.
One of the first steps for me with lead generation would be to select the market and learn it.
Select the market and learn it.
Right. So it would be, you know, you pick a town, you want to learn that town, and that would sort of guide where you cold call. So that once you get a person who will talk to you other than being polite, you have something to say to them. can, and again, depending on who you call, you may be able to target either the neighborhood or the.
So,
Town.
so learn the market, so can we call that, neighborhoods?
Sure.
Yeah?
I was thinking more broad, like cities and towns, but the neighborhoods within there. So
I'll
there'll be
share,
some towns-
I'll share something with you. You know, when you say learn the markets, the first thing that comes to my mind is you don't have to.
Okay.
Don't limit yourself. You don't have to know a market, you know, you don't have to be Deb Lucci and Peggy Patton on. I just set an appointment for $800,000 house in Andover. And the lady had one of these top agents, and I told you, I don't like calling in the towns that I live in, you know? And the first thing she said to me was like, yeah, I just wasn't satisfied because I felt like she wasn't giving me enough feedback and she wasn't doing enough. And I said, yeah, you know what, ma'am, you're right, because agents that have been in town for a while and proven themselves are entitled. They don't have to work as hard as me, you see? So don't limit yourself thinking you have to know the market to start targeting a certain area. But, I mean, if you know the market, obviously it's a million
Right.
times better, but it just depends on how you're gonna do your business, you know? So, learn the market, what else? We have lead gen, learn the market. To hit your one goal, you know, to get 50, we're talking closings, right? So what leads up to that? Appointments, contracts, you know, things like that. So priority number one, let's see what we got here. Contracts. In order for you to do 50 deals each, you also, in order for you to do 30 deals, in order for you to do,
I feel I want to change it to 50 now.
change it to 50. Get excited. It's okay to get excited, and it's okay to, it's, you know, we're the guys that, I'll tell you, I still tell people I'm gonna do 100 this year, you know? Don't shortchange yourself, you know? There's realistic and there's dreams. I'm not saying kill those dream goals, but, you know, let's hit the realistic ones too. So your priority is gonna be contracts, okay? So for your first goal, your priority number one is contracts, and I'm just gonna have to fly through this, because I actually gotta get back on the phones. So priority number one is contracts signed, right? How many contracts signed do you need to close on 50 deals?
75.
Give or take. So you're gonna close on 65%, and we can argue for 75, we can argue for 50-50, but you're gonna close about 65% of what you list, okay? So if you wanna close 50, you should probably be aiming to list 65 or 70. Does that make sense? So that's priority number one is contracts, right? Now, five strategies that you're going to implement in order to get more contracts. Throw some out there, because that way you all can write some down. Out of 5, I guarantee you won't do 5. You may do 3. So, look at our paper and just, you know, yell out some that come to mind.
New housewarming parties.
Housewarming parties. It has to be something you're willing to do, because if you think about it this way, if you're gonna do 25 deals a year and you think you're gonna get 5 to 10 deals, say housewarming parties, you gotta be pretty damn consistent with those housewarming parties. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I was just thinking that way, because those housewarming parties, you can get those people throwing their name in the hat saying, can I get approved, can I get a house?
Yeah.
So you get those good leads, but also they can turn into, you can get their family as well. So you can spider web it.
So for yours, one of your strategies will be write down housewarming parties. Yes.
How about using social media?
Write down that as a strategy.
Yeah.
And I expect you would have to sit down together and talk about how you're gonna do social media. Okay, I've done probably over 5, we've probably done over 10 deals off of social media, you know? But I'm very active on social media, you know? I have like a little game plan, you know what I mean? Like nothing I do is, every move is calculated more or less, you know? It may seem like I'm just being an idiot on Facebook, but I'm not, you know? I'm doing things that I know will get people's attention, and I know they'll sooner or later see my posts about houses, and I don't just throw real estate out there all day, every day. I don't do that.
Right.
So you're gonna have to come up with a good strategy. So put that, social media is incredible. It's incredible. If you could walk into a room of 100 people in, I don't know, 1980s and say, here's my business card, this is what I do. Now imagine if you walk into a virtual room of like tens of thousands of people. I mean, it's just incredible, you know? So, social media, what else? Is anybody here planning on cold calling or anything like that?
She will.
Genuinely planning on it? It's scary, and that's
Yeah, I
okay.
have a massive sphere of influence.
I
online,
suggest-
So I need to kind of hit it.
I suggest everybody put that down. Because I tell you what, the fear thing doesn't go away with cold calling. We come into the office and we're relentless, and I come in and sometimes I'm like, I hate my life and I don't want to cold call. You know, I don't want to call people and bother them. I don't want to do this shit. But unless you're one of these people who just has leads coming to you and your business just operates on its own, this is just some shit we have to do, period. There's not much of a mental battle. We create the battle, but there isn't. It's you do or you don't, and the results will follow. Simple as that. I mean, don't overthink it.
Do you have any numbers on what the return from pure cold calling is versus targeted calling?
It's a 70%.
Pure cold calling versus targeted cold calling?
Yeah, well,
Special-
targeted calling, I guess you could call it warm.
Expireds versus just random neighborhood calls?
In other words, something expireds would be one, FISBOs is another one. Some way where you have a thread that says this person is interested in talking to a realtor and I want it to be me, as opposed to going through just numbers in a phone book.
Too many variables.
Okay.
Too many variables. There are numbers. There is a ratio, but there's just too many variables.